Every time when you wake up and you're in front of the mirror, you think about what can I do better, right?
If you went back in time and you met that Pablo 15, 20 years younger, what advice would you give yourself?
We have 2 ears and one mouth. I mean, listen twice, speak only once.
For those of us who have spent a long time in the industry, you need to love what you do because it's really hard.
So if you're good and you work hard, you will be rewarded.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the FTC podcast series. We thought it would be fun to record some video sessions with friends and with great executives of the industry. And today we have Pablo Otin with us. Welcome, Pablo. Great to have you. And we're going to be talking about the industry, talking about products, talking about the market, talk about financing, and talk about all the challenges in this industry that we love. So, Pablo, we met more than 15 years ago. You just corrected me. I thought maybe 15. It's probably more than that in San Francisco. If you had to tell us more about your career since then, how can we get to know you better?
Well, first and foremost, thanks for the opportunity to participate in this podcast. It was 2009, the first time we met, and it was a long time ago. We were both younger.
Yes.
Just stay there.
Yes.
And since there has been a lot of changes in what is called the roller coaster, the solar coaster, how can I define myself? I'm a developer, I'm an entrepreneur to some degree, I'm an executive, I'm a survivor, I'm a dinosaur of the industry. Someone has lived a lot of experiences in several countries, in several jurisdictions, in different ecosystems. And I'm passionate of what I'm doing. I'm passionate of renewables. I created value, create something new, doing something better for my kids and for the generations to come.
That's great, Pablo. That's really inspiring. I think maybe a couple of thoughts on what you just said. For those of us who have been in the industry for more than 20 years, we all feel like dinosaurs. So I like that metaphor. I also really like that you said that for those of us who have spent a long time in the industry, you need to love what you do because it's really hard.
Indeed. I call it the shaving effect. One could use the makeup effect. Is every time when you wake up and you're in front of the mirror, you're shaving, you think about what can I do better, right? And that is the incremental change, the incremental improvement, there's basically passion on doing what we do, which is not rocket science, which all we have to do is slightly better every time, be more efficient to become a dinosaur.
Yeah, I love that. And I agree, it's not rocket science, but sometimes it can be very hard. What would you, if you went back in time and you met that Pablo 15, 20 years younger, what advice would you give yourself?
We have 2 ears and one mouth. I mean, listen twice, speak only once. I would certainly use that metaphor. I would speak less, listen more, be more cautious, still keep the passion and the flair within yourself, but be more cautious. I certainly think that one element that cannot change, that no one can teach you in your MBA, is to calm down, and you're never as good as you think, never as bad as or as worse as people might say. So stay level, stay cool, and probably that would be my number one advice.
That's really good.
Just think twice, sleep over. There's no need to make a decision right away.
That's beautiful. I don't remember who said this. We're probably going to have the podcast team refresh my memory. But if your words aren't more beautiful than silence, just shut up. And then I think Ricky Rubio said, never too high, never too low, because he went through a lot of mental health issues, like many other athletes, and I think also CEOs, right? It's a lot. How do you deal with all the stress and pressure? I mean, this morning, even when we met, the first thing we said to each other is, wow, things are busy, right? How do you deal with that?
Your mind is a miraculously wonderful muscle, so it gets used to it, right? The first time you go under pressure, you might melt down or just survive or just go through, but your muscle, your memory, your brain, your attitude, basically, it improves over time, and it's like running. The more you run, the faster and the longer you can go. But I think it's the same. And in my particular case, what I like to do is run. I just put my shoes on and just go.
Just go. Yeah.
Just go. And and normally through the exercise, things tends to become clearer and just go through. That's my little secret.
Do you run painfully or happily? Because some people feel that it helps them when they push themselves beyond, and some people are just like more happy workout people.
I think you go through both at once, meaning like you always suffered, but eventually makes you happier.
Okay.
So I guess you go through both that transition.
Yes,
right?
yes,
you
yes.
start suffering. I never seen in my life any runner that has not suffered.
Yes.
But eventually,
to enjoy it.
Eventually you enjoy it, right?
I love that.
Like the process.
That's great. That's great. I think one of the big things that at least drive me as a CEO, we work really hard. We sacrifice sometimes things in our personal lives, our wives, our children. We're traveling a lot. This has an impact. But one of the things that really helps me continue to believe in what I'm doing is coaching and training and helping the next generation. I see so many people that ask me, hey, what do I have to do to work in your company? What advice could you give me? What career recommendation could you give me? For someone who's been so successful as you have, both in Europe, in the US, going back and forth between those two amazing but very different countries, what advice would you give the next generation, whether it's an engineer or it's someone who doesn't really know what their path is, but they know they want to work in renewables? What would you tell them?
Well, great question. I would say find, when you interview for a job, interview your boss. Make sure that you find a person that can guide you, that is honest, that maximize your potential. Yeah. And do not focus on the salary, but revenue, bottom line will come. If you're good, people are, in my opinion, my experience, people are consistent. Whoever is consistent good is consistently good. Whoever is consistently bad is consistently bad. So if you're good and you work hard, you would get, you would be rewarded. It might cost you a year, 5 years, 10 years, but if you're good, a professional, you will get to where you want to get to. Yeah. But unless you make mistakes along the way. And I would say that if I'm a young engineer, the first thing I would be looking at is not jumping jobs, is just finding your boss, your next in line to make sure that gets you where you want to get.
That's very good. I like that. One thing that I think was really important in my career was working in different types of companies, because I feel that when you work in a startup, you think you know everything, right? It's super fun, hyper growth, change the world, and it's great, right? And then if you work in a Fortune 50 company, like we had the opportunity, you worked in Gamesa, I was in the Siemens side and also very connected to Gamesa, and then Schneider, for example. When you work in these very, very large companies, I feel that you learn, if you're smart enough, to work with the system and not against the system. And if you can apply that then to startups or to smaller companies, I think that gives you success. It's a combination of that fire and that desire to grow that you have in a startup, with the understanding that, yes, risk control is important. Yes, financial analysis is important. And understanding how to work in these very corporate structured environments and applying those lessons to maybe a smaller company where you have more fun. To me, it's something that was really useful.
I would say the experience that changed me the most is when I became consultant in the US in transitioning jobs back in 2014, sending your first invoice. So that day where you're by yourself. Yeah. Because up to that point, money showed up. I needed capital. And I picked up the phone, and somehow money was in the bank account. Yeah. Miraculously, things happen, right? But the day in which I was by myself, I sent the first invoice, and that invoice was net 30. Yeah. So waiting these 30 days to make sure that this check clears is an experience that changed the way you value you value everything. You value your counterparty, you value yourself, you value your services, your quality, your experience, and everything.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that you work in every type of company.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, it's even more important understanding what it means to pay a check.
Yeah.
Send an invoice, wait, and get paid. Because it's like robbing a bank. Yes. It's not how you get in, it's how you get out.
How you get out, yes, how you get paid.
How you get paid is
very true. That's very true. Yeah.
You could do marvelous services, but if you don't get paid, man, you have a problem.
Yes.
So I would say for any young guy, work everywhere, but at least once in your lifetime, be by yourself.
Invoice something.
Invoice something.
I like that. That's really good.
Make sure, wait for that check to clear your account.
Really good advice. I remember when I moved to the US the first time to Phoenix with Power Electronics, I was talking to some of our new hires, and I said, well, how are we going to get paid for this project? Is it net 90, net 120? Because I was used to payment terms in Spain, and they all looked at me like, that's illegal. Like, what are you talking about? 4 months to get paid? And then, of course, some companies moved some of the not great practices over to the US, and that also changed a little bit. But I totally agree with you. The feeling of being by yourself, providing a service, sending that invoice, and then literally checking your bank account every day to see if it cleared, that's an amazing feeling. That's great. What did I not ask you today that you would like to share with hopefully a large audience? This is the first chapter of the FTC podcast series. I'm extremely happy that an old friend was happy to join and honored me and the podcast with your presence. You've been incredibly successful. I've followed your career throughout the craziness of the industry, and I wanted to congratulate you on your leadership. I also wanted to say, and this is something that we will be talking on the podcast many times, I talk a lot about unreasonable hospitality. It's a book by Will Gadara. I will share one with you. I have many copies that I continue to read, and it's about giving people more than they expect or even more than they deserve. And I just want to say that when I texted you, you responded immediately. You said, let's meet in Madrid. I said, hey, shall we do a podcast? I thought you would be like, a podcast? What are you talking about? I haven't seen you in 3 years. You want to do a podcast? And everything that I asked you, you said, yeah, let's do it. It would be a pleasure. And for someone who's so busy as you are, so successful as you are, to remain as humble as you are, and to be as kind as you are, it says a lot about you and your leadership. So thank you.
Well, thanks to you, man. I'm a little bit ashamed.
I mean it.
Thank you.
You know I mean it.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.